back again with another video today. I'm kind of on a streak. I think this is the third or fourth one in a row. But today we're going to talk about three big things, and then there's a few extras I'll throw in at the end that new Cummins owners should know before they're buying vehicles. Kind of obvious to diesel owners who have had them for a while, but new guys, young guys, especially myself when I was younger, definitely fell into the trap. But we'll go over those things and then a few tips kind of just to work around. But yeah, we'll jump right in here. So the first thing that most people make mistakes, young people, especially after watching lots of YouTube videos and TikToks, is they go to buy their first diesel truck and they look at the big three and they think, oh, well, everybody talks about Cummins. They're bulletproof. That's got to be the best one. Now, I mean, as you've seen on the channel, I'm not brand loyal, but I do like them. But they are not bulletproof. They definitely have their faults and they can take a lot of abuse, but they're not meant to just go down to your neighbor's place and buy his old second gen with 500,000 miles on it and go do burnouts with it, or go strap 38s on it and go take it mud bogging, or race your friends on the highway with. They're just, yes, they can handle a lot of abuse, but they can't do it for that long. They need supporting mods to do anything crazy like that. A stock truck, like, yes, they can handle a lot. Are they better than the other two? Like, are they better than Duramax? Are they better than Power Strokes? That's up to you to decide. But they're not bulletproof like everybody thinks. And that first point goes for all of them too. That's anything from first gen Ram trucks all the way up to the fifth gens. If you're 12 valves, 24 valves, 5.9, 6.7s, it depends. It's all the same. Like, they all have issues. Nothing is bulletproof, and thinking it's bulletproof is only going to get you in trouble. It's only going to get you expensive mistakes. It's only going to cause issues. I've had three different trucks, 2 fourth gens and a fifth gen. All of them have had their own issues. I ride them pretty hard. They're all lifted, they're all on big tires. And one's going for a turbo right away. The other one needed a turbo when I got rid of it. The transmission was gone in it when I needed it. Maybe the motor will hold up, but the rest of it won't. And now with that being said, it leads right into the second point that I'm going to make here. And the second point is the diesel fuel is not the same as it used to be. Like 30 years ago, you just put diesel in your truck. It had all kinds of lubricants and additives in it. Emissions are a lot more regulated and strict now. And part of that is force the companies to change the fuel, which doing so changed the makeup of it. It doesn't have the lubricants that it used to have anymore. And because of that, most people recommend, and myself included, is run some sort of lubricant, especially on the newer trucks. And by lubricant, I mean like Hot Shots diesel additive to your fuel. Lucas makes one. There's multiple different ones. Even run a little bit of ATF in your fuel. It's not going to hurt anything. Some people might think it does, but it doesn't. It's not going to hurt anything, but what it'll do is it'll keep your whole fuel system lubricated, especially on the new trucks with like the CP3s and CP4s and stuff. CP3s are a lot better. If you have a CP4, you should probably get that dealt with. I think those are only on like the 19 to around 2019 trucks anyway, the fifth gens. But they were recalled. My truck had one on the 2020. And they recalled it and changed it for free. So I'd highly recommend changing that out, but always run something in there. It just helps keep it lubricated. It helps keep your injectors safe. Injectors are expensive. CP3s are expensive. And brand doesn't matter for an additive. Kind of like they say is some is better than none. And it kind of goes with that. So like I said, with most of my stuff, I'm not brand loyal to any one of them. I'm not even, and you can get different stuff at different gas stations. Usually I just recommend grabbing one. Just grab one, put it in the tank, and you'll always be set from there on out. Some people may disagree, but like I said, better to be safe than sorry. And Maybe it's a gimmick, maybe it's not, but it's one of those things that if it's not that expensive, which it isn't, it's cheap insurance. And like I mentioned, cheap insurance on the second point there. The third point is really cheap insurance because it's free and it's just something that you can get in the habit of doing. If I didn't have the deer stuff hanging in here, I'd have my truck in here and I could show you, but it's not nice out either, so I'm not gonna do it outside. But another thing I highly recommend is, and like I said, it's free, so do it. When you get into your truck, whether it's got a key or a push button or whatever you've got, depending on your year of truck, cycle the key, let the pump run, fill the fuel system so there's no air in it, whether it cycles and backflows and does whatever, just make sure it's full. And I usually like to do it at least once, if not twice. If I worked on it, I don't know if you guys watched the video, I'll link it up above there about doing the fuel filter changes. I cycled it 15 times just to make sure that there was fuel through the whole system. I highly recommend doing that every time because the last thing you want to do is try to run anything with air in it. It'll just chew right through your whole entire fuel system. It's hard on injectors, it's hard on the CP3s. It's just not great. It's hard on any fuel system to run it with air in it. The fuel is the lubricant. Your additive is the lubricant, whatever you put in there. Those need to be in there. It's like running your truck without oil. It's not good for it. So I highly recommend cycle your key a few times. Don't just cycle it till you hear the pump come on and then just go. Don't just hit the gas and just start it and hit go. Give it a minute, cycle it, make sure the pump runs on and off, especially if you have an aftermarket lift pump, I think is even more important just because they're bigger, they have a higher capacity, but they have a higher chance of getting air in them. So you want to really cycle it through. They have air separators in them, fuel water separators. Make sure everything is full. So that's point number 3. And the other ones we'll get into here in a minute aren't as important, but they're still quite important. Another thing that I see lots of people do with diesel trucks, especially, I mean any vehicle, but definitely diesel truck, is you don't, like you'll just see them pull into a parking lot, shut the key off, get out and go. Every time, just like you barely have the vehicle in park, the tires haven't even stopped moving yet and it's shut off and you're hitting the grocery store to go buy something. Or you're running into the gas station or you're going home. Leave it running for a minute, especially if you just come off the highway. If you just did 500 miles on a road trip and you pull it into your driveway and your feet haven't, like the truck's off and the tires haven't even stopped turning and you're already out of the truck ready to go home. I get it's exciting sometimes to get home or get wherever you're going, but just let it run for a minute. When you come off the highway, your EGTs could easily be over 1,000 degrees. Definitely let it run. It just cools everything down. It pulls cooler EGTs when it's sitting idling for 2 minutes in the driveway. It'll cool your turbo off a little better instead of leaving it over 1,000 degrees after running it. Some people disagree and say, yeah, it's going to cool down either way. Well, yeah, that's true. It will cool down either way. But cheap insurance, same thing. Let it run for 2 minutes, go inside. You don't need to rush. Even when people go into the grocery store, if they know they're going into the grocery store for 2 minutes, or if you're just stopping somewhere quick, you just leave it running. It's hard on diesels to fire them up and shut them off and fire them up and shut them off 47 times a day. Gas vehicles, same thing. Everything is like that. I mean, you don't cut 6 feet of your lawn and then shut your lawnmower off, turn it around and start it again. It wouldn't be good for it. Same thing with the truck. Don't drive it to the store, get out, shut it off, go inside for 2 minutes, come out, start it, go to the next store. Just leave it running for 2 minutes if you're only going in for 2 minutes. The amount of fuel you're going to burn is very little. I know people say don't idle them, but the environmental stuff has kind of got out of hand. And at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my investment and my stuff. So that may be selfish. This last point that I'm going to make too, it may not apply to everybody. You may be somebody that's just looking to hook up a truck to a camper and tour the States, tour Canada, do whatever, wherever you are. I mean, you might be over in Europe driving and you might just buy the truck, leave it bone stock. So if that's the case, this isn't really for you. But if you're somebody like myself and lots of people I know, if you want to modify your Cummins truck or any truck for that matter, be smart with your modifications. Do the research, figure out what you're doing and what you want to do, figure out your end goal. If you want to make X number of horsepower, that's great. Go for it, 100%, I'm on board. I think modifying stuff is fun. I think it's free. It kind of expresses who you are. But be smart with it. Don't take your brand new Cummins truck or your 40-year-old Cummins truck, pull it in the shop, put 200% over injectors on it and a great big turbo, and then expect it to just be a reliable 700 horsepower. Not gonna happen. You're gonna need a lot of supporting mods for any of that stuff. I mean, you need fuel system, like you need lift pumps, you need all kinds of stuff if you're gonna run bigger injectors. If you're gonna run a bigger turbo, you're gonna need more fuel. You have to be able to take into consideration all this. And the biggest thing that people forget, which it isn't really a Cummins problem, but it's anything you bolt behind it, is transmissions suck when it comes to adding extra power. I mean, some of them may say, oh yeah, this stock transmission holds up to 600 horsepower. Somebody's might blow with 250 horsepower behind it. If you're gonna start making extra power, be smart about it, think about it. You'll probably be let down 9 times out of 10 if you don't do your supporting mods. You're gonna wanna take your time, like I said, do your research, figure out everything you need, and then build a plan and go from there, because it's not cheap, it's expensive. I mean, injectors are like $1,000 a piece at least, minimum. Turbos, $2,000-3,000 easy. Transmissions upwards of 10 if you're building a good one. I don't have any brands I recommend. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. But if you're doing any of that stuff, just think about it, make a plan, see what other people have done, spend the time to ask the questions. No question's a dumb question as far as I'm concerned. Some people don't agree with that. Some people ask questions and you get jumped all over, but that's just a them problem. But just put the effort in, put the time in, do the research. Don't drop it off somewhere that you don't trust. Really know what you're getting into, because yeah, they can make a lot of power and they can be a lot of fun. I mean, you can easily make 1,000 horsepower to the wheels if you have the budget to do it. But as soon as you start throwing money at it, if you blow the crank apart, if you send a piston to the outer atmosphere, you're going to be a little upset. So spend the time, do the research. All the other points matter too. I mean, if you're building a race truck and you upgrade it and do a whole bunch of stuff, that's great. But still make sure you think about what you're putting in it for fuel. All of those are important points. And those are things that I see a lot of people don't do. And then they wonder why there's 400,000 mile Cummins blew up 3 days after they bought it when they were doing boosted launches with it, or they're drag racing it. They'll take a lot of abuse, but at the end of the day, they're not bulletproof. Nothing is. If you try, you can break pretty much anything. Hopefully this video kind of taught somebody something. Hopefully you learned something. I mean, these are important points. You can do your own research on any one of them. Hopefully you guys can take something away from this. If you guys thought this video was helpful, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more. I've actually been on a roll, like I said at the beginning of the video, making more. So I'm hoping to try to pump out a new video every week for the next little while. And I'm pretty motivated right now, so I think I can actually hold on to that. But we got all kinds of cars and stuff we can go over. I got a truck to talk about. So yeah, just subscribe for more, guys. If you want to keep right in tune with it, hit that little notification bell beside the subscribe button there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough,